Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
All right, we're back. Guess who our guest is again? Steve Fohl. That's right. We left off last time with him moving over to Washington. So let me bring everybody in real quick. We've got Alicia, the Taco Hooper.
Hello.
And we've got Marshall Tucker. And we've got James behind the glass over here, James Mendez. And once again, our special guest is my friend. I'm so happy and so proud to call this guy my friend.
The legendary Steve Fohl.
Well, thank you guys. It is good to be back. I want you to know I did shower, and so we're already off.
This room's getting a little bit steamy in here. We got a little love affair going on between the five of us in here.
Comb my hair and everything. I'm bald, everybody.
Comb your eyebrows.
His beard.
There we go. So last time we were talking, we were kind of about to expand on an agent that moves into a new marketplace. You had moved from California, which you were a lifelong. What do you call
Resident?
Resident? No.
Oh.
Californian.
Absolutely.
Californian. That's it.
And then became Washingtonian.
And then you became a Washingtonian. What'd you say?
I just said resident. Go ahead.
Resident. Real estate professional.
Yeah.
So you had switched up to Washington. You had just found out some things about Logan. And was that the reason that took you to Washington?
No, I moved to Washington because after 17 years of successful selling in California, I'd made enough money, and really the market going up so high allowed me to cash out big on a couple of properties, including my primary residence, and moved to Washington, where I bought a literal castle on 6 acres with a 20-car garage and everything that you see in the poster, justification for a higher education. And I was so happy because my little kids could just run and run and run, and they would never run off of my property. They were always safe. And so it was a fantastic place to live. But a funny thing happened along the way. Not funny, haha, funny as in, gosh, I can't believe this is happening. My son was diagnosed with autism. And so when I got those first therapy bills, I said to my then wife, gosh, $6,600 a month. That wasn't in the retirement plan. That would not be in a lot of people's retirement plan. So I got my real estate license and did the only thing that I knew how to do. And mind you, I didn't know a soul in Washington State. And so I went and I picked a farm area called the Trossachs, a very affluent area up in the Highlands. They're in a small town called Issaquah, and it was so high up and with hills and everything, I knew nobody was door knocking it. So even in the rain and all the crudiness of Seattle weather, I went in there and gained a great market share. And my very first year, sold just shy of $4 million worth of real estate, not knowing anyone, and going in and competing against, well, everybody knows a realtor, right? That's a common phrase no matter what state you live in. And so the reason that I tell you that and share that with you guys is because when you talk about the newer agents, or even agents that have been in the business for a while that just, they're secret agents. They haven't gone out and met a lot of people. Not only did I do that in Washington, but when Logan was diagnosed with autism, I said to my former wife at the time, find the best place in the United States for us to move to get him the help that he needs, and we'll move there. I can still remember that day. I was writing a contract. She came in, tears streaming. He's autistic. I didn't even know what that really meant. I mean, we'd all saw Rain Man, and that was all I knew, but that's Savant, something totally different. And so I set down my pen, and that was exactly what I said to her. She came back to me about 2 weeks later, said it's Austin, Texas. I said, you're kidding, because I was thinking Flint, Michigan, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, some armpit of America. And so I flew to Austin, looked at 38 homes in one weekend, and bought the one that I still live in today. And as a matter of fact, started farming my neighborhood right away and took my very first listing 42 days after getting my real estate license.
An agent showed you 38 homes in one weekend?
In one weekend,
Did you coach him how to show less homes?
You ended up joining this team.
Troy Kramer, who runs the Kung Fu Saloon these days. He's the general manager of the Kung Fu Saloon.
Yeah.
And so
Toy Troy is what we call him.
And he was on Linda Bishop's team, and boy.
Yeah, that was Bart's mom, Linda Bishop.
Yeah, exactly.
So now that's Weichert Realtors.
That's exactly right.
I just did a deal with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Linda,
Yeah, she is.
she's awesome.
She was awesome.
She's my kind of lady, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Throw the cigarette on the ground and smash it. Let me tell you something.
Look here, prick.
I'm listening. So it was great because coming here to Washington, one thing that it proved to me, and I'd always said you could drop me anywhere in the English speaking world and come back in 6 months, and I won't just have listings and sales and stuff going in real estate. I'll have friends, and we'll be down at the local tavern on Monday nights and watching the game, and it'll look like I've lived there forever. And that was proven true in Washington, and absolutely shows it as a duplicatable system that if you will follow it, A, B, C, D, you will be able to make that work anywhere that they speak a language you speak, and you can get your real estate license, you can make that work.
I agree.
Awesome.
It's fantastic. I mean, that's what we all have to do when we get into this business, just in our local town. So if you're able to do it in 3 separate states, I mean, that's pretty amazing. So where can we go next? Let's drill down. You were telling a story a little bit earlier that I had walked in on right before we started recording.
Oh, this is, I was talking to the others here at the table about things that my brother did. My brother, S.L.G.R, is one of the top realtors in America. And one of the things, when you talk about things that you can do that set you apart from other agents, first of all, you can get out of bed while the clock still says AM. And my brother takes that to an extreme and gets up at 5 a.m. every morning, goes for a hike, comes back, eats the, strangely enough, same breakfast every morning, and then by 7 a.m. is sitting in front of his computer calling expireds and for sale by owners. And as a matter of fact, I'll share with you guys the script. It's so funny. Everybody looks for magic words, I think is where you walked in at. Everybody looks for magic words, and you go, you want magic words? My brother made over $200,000 last year with these magic words. Bring.
Hello.
Hello, is this Alicia?
Yes.
Hi, Alicia. It's Les Fohl, the real estate broker. How are you this morning?
I'm sleepy.
Oh gosh, I can certainly understand. Well, I'm an early worm early bird gets the worm type guy, and I know it's early, but that's not why I'm calling you. I was calling to touch bases to ask you 2 very important questions. Number 1, are you aware that your property is sold in the multiple, or is expired in the multiple listing system, and your contract with your existing broker is likely up?
Yes, I did know that.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So many folks I talk to have no idea. So that's good that you're on top of it. Probably you still have the sign in your yard and lockbox on your house because the
Yeah, he hasn't come by yet.
Sure, they'll do the walk of shame. Let me guess, probably hasn't talked to you in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that's what happens as it winds down. I can certainly appreciate where you're at. Well, question number 2, are you still interested in selling your property for top dollar value in today's market?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Well, as I mentioned, I'm not just one of the top realtors in your area. I'm one of the top realtors in the United States. When would you have 15 minutes, Alicia, for me to pop on by, sit down with you, show you the things that I do? As a matter of fact, Alicia, I'll tell you what, we can even set a timer. And if you don't love, not like or like a lot, if you don't love what you see in my marketing program, I want you to grab me by the scruff of my shirt and throw me right out of your house. It'd probably feel pretty good to throw a salesperson out right now, wouldn't it?
Yes. Are you bringing coffee?
I'm happy to bring you coffee. You take cream and sugar?
Yes.
Oh, very good. I will be there. Starbucks okay, or are you a Pete's person?
Starbucks.
Starbucks it is. So would it be okay to pop by tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock and show you the things that I do that get homes sold?
Sure.
Fantastic. I will see you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning with Starbucks, with cream and sugar, and I look forward to our appointment then. And so you look at how quick that call goes, and mind you, the average real estate agent in America last year made about $22,000. My brother made over $200,000 calling those people. Yeah, but I wouldn't call somebody that early. I hate being called that early. Oh, really? That's funny. I didn't ask if you liked it. He does that as a method of prospecting. And guess what else he gets to tell me? He tells me that by the time I'm done with my week worth of doing that, Monday through Friday, I don't do it on the weekends, I have prospected more than 90% of the realtors in America just by doing that activity. And Steve, I'm done every single day with that activity by about 8:15. and you go an hour and 15 minutes times 5, and you've prospected more than 90% of the agents in America, and you go, that alone tells you that agents come into the business and they need help and guidance, because I think, gosh, I wish that this was visual, but if you imagine a pie graph and you go, most agents, a small sliver says prospecting. And then the large part of the pie graph says everything else. And what top producing agents understand that most agents don't is the large part of the pie graph needs to say prospecting, and the small sliver is everything else. You have to, that you can see how this all filters back to planning.
Yeah, one thing I did like in there that you kind of hit my RAS, my reticular activating system right there. You brought up when they gave you an objection like, man, it sure is early. You're right, it is, but that's not why I'm calling.
It doesn't even make any sense.
I love that. It's like the other one I use all the time that I learned from you. It's is there any room on this commission to negotiate? No. Are there any other questions? Like, I love that one.
Absolutely,
and I've actually used it, and it's a deflection thing. It's just like, no, there's not. Is there any other questions? You know, and then they move on from there and like, well, you can understand. And when they start making excuses, you know, it's like, well, you can understand. I had to ask. You know, I mean, my neighbor told me to ask because he sold his house for 1%. You know,
sure. Culturally, the Asian culture and the Indian culture. What seriously? What do we as agents talk about with those two cultures? We talk about, gosh, we hate it because they always want to negotiate. They come from a culture of negotiating. Yeah. Everything, their groceries, everything they do is negotiated. And you go, for us, for instance, why when we're children, when we go to the store and we say, Mom, can I have a toy? And Mom says, no way.
No.
And then we ask again, and it's nope. And then we ask again, and it's maybe if you're good, which of course we hear yes. And then we ask again, and then at the end we get a toy. And you go, where along the way do we lose that?
Yeah.
Why do we stop asking for things? Why in business, and you're probably very well versed in this, you guys, that the 3 to 5 no's is the time that most salespeople have absolutely cut off. They don't ask anymore. They don't ask anymore. And you go, why? Why? No is not going to hurt you, right? You read one of my favorite books.
My
Go for no.
perspective changed everything after you gave me that book. Yep. And I actually buy them in bulk and hand them out to people now.
You can read it in about 15 minutes. Yeah. And Go for No is a contrarian way of thinking that I'm reading another good book right now for all of the listeners out there that are interested, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. You guys can finish that sentence on your own, I'm sure. It's 4 letters.
It's not falafel.
And it is a New York Times #1 bestseller, and it is a contrarian way of thinking, saying you only have so many F's to give in life. Be careful getting mad at the old person driving in front of you. You're wasting your F's that you have to give. It's a contrarian way of thinking. And the more books that I read like that, the more my life keeps changing and changing and changing for the better.
Certainly. It's sitting in my Audible lineup to get to. I've got 5 or 6 in front of it. However, I'll get to it soon.
It starts with a great drinking story, which so does every good story. And it's not hold my beer.
That's how all my stories before I grew up started. Like, here, hold my beer.
Watch this.
Yeah, watch this. You think I could do this? Okay, so let's talk about some other things real quick. Let me ask you some questions. Why do you think so many realtors fail within the first 2 years?
Lack of guidance, lack of mentorship. It's so funny to me that the real estate boards and, state by state, TAR, the Texas Association of Realtors, and not picking on Texas, that's every state, that they don't have something in place where companies are forced to provide mentorship to agents. So many brokerages, it is, gosh, we really want you to come here, Marshall. We really want you to come here. Okay, great, you've signed on. Get out of the way. Alicia, we really want you to come here. And where's Marshall? Floating out in like the perfect storm type ocean with a little duck donut dinghy thing and has no idea and no guidance. And you go, and man, when you have 600 agents and you have an office manager and a helper, you go, that's one person to help for every 300 agents. And if only half of those agents had a question daily, that would take up those 2 people's whole week answering those questions. And you go, man, it's difficult at best. So what you guys do in a team concept, and by the way, that's why teams have become so popular. That's one of the biggest reasons that you hear, especially new agents say, I want to get on a team.
Plug and play.
Absolutely right, because they know they're going to get help. And that's one of the biggest reasons that they fail. Look at me, for instance. I had a brother that was like, nope, you have to do these things before don't ask me a question. You go ask one of the other agents, look it up in the encyclopedia. There was no Google. And the crisscross directory, things that you guys probably have no idea what I'm even talking about.
No.
And you had to go look stuff up, because he wouldn't help me not a single bit to begin with, because he wanted to teach me to be self-sufficient. And as a matter of fact, speaking of that, go ahead and trademark it. I was always going to and never did. He taught me to be a slugger. You know what a slugger is? A self-lead generating realtor. Be a slugger. Stop looking for the company that will provide you with leads and go get your own leads. Make your own leads, like you make your own luck and you make your own fate and future. And you become a slugger, a self-lead generating realtor. You go out and get your own leads. You don't owe anybody a referral fee. The commission's 100% yours. That's how you will survive, even in the toughest of markets. Once you know how to self-lead generate. As a matter of fact, I saw the little sign on your door walking in today, and I love that about that. What do you mean you didn't lead generate today? And you go, that's exactly right. You can't come in and do the move stuff from the left to the right, go out on property tour and eat, and come back and talk to agents for 2 hours. Hey, they're licensed too. They aren't buying or selling a house through you. I got bad news for you. Nobody in this office is going to buy or sell a home through you. You have to get out there and find, like Mike Ferry said to me when I was sharing that story with you the last time that I was here, was you have to be able to know that only so many people are going to sell and buy today. Do you know where to go find them? Do you have a system in place to go find them? When you find them, do you know what to say to them? I think that's the great importance that gets lost, especially on new agents, because that message is not stamped on their soul from the time that they get that golden ticket, the real estate license in their hand.
Right. So that was another question of mine right there was team or solo. I know before you've kind of, not in a sense rejected teams. You just brought up some great points right there, but we're going to expand on it a little bit more.
Sure.
But when that new agent's starting out, which direction they should go, the benefits of being a team, benefits of being solo. Once again, I know we just covered a few of the steps, but we can dive a little bit deeper on it.
Sure.
My thing is with teams is when I'm doing a recruiting session in front of 30 new agents and I'm talking to them about joining a team, you can see the ones that their eyebrows raising like, oh, we've been warned about you. Mm-hmm. And so there's so many brokerages out there that have taken a stance against teams. And we know why, being a level of real estate that is, it costs that broker probably a little bit more in commission they can make off you or whatever else.
For
and
sure.
then, well, you're stealing half my money. It's like, I'm not stealing half your money. I'm providing value. Do you get that my split is this and is X and I take Y, and Y pays for all the lead generation systems. It pays for an admin. You don't ever touch any contracts. It pays to keep the lights on and everything in this office going, internet. I mean, it pays for everything. So you're contributing into the team. We're investing that money into more systems, into more leads, more at bats for you. If you're a solo agent, your split's going to be X over here and Y with a broker that more than likely is not going to be the same one. It looks like it'll be more favorable towards you over here to be with this broker. However, that broker is going to throw you against the wall to see if you stick. They have no training plan for you, and they're going to do exactly what Les said. Go figure it out. And so I try to tell agents more these days is as we scale our team and grow, I've been able to show that value to realtors that are coming into our little ecosystem we have, and they just have to plug and play.
When it is that type of a system, I agree with it, Dave. The problem is most teams, they run helter-skelter. My brother, I'm not against teams. I was raised in an environment where if you ran a team, my brother considered it, as the broker owner of the company, you're trying to run a company inside of his company. And that is absolutely not allowed. Absolutely not allowed. I was amazed the way that the team and the group concept has taken off. I mean, it is more popular today, I think, than the solo agent, if I'm not mistaken. And that's in every state, again, not just here in the greater Austin area. So when it comes to what you do with your team and the taking them on and nurturing them and really truly helping them, man, I'm all for it. That is the way it should be. I think that's the way it should be. the solo agent today does face an uphill battle. Gosh, it sure must be difficult going in and doing a listing appointment when you're and I'm interviewing the Keller Williams United team, the Robert Fisher team, the so-and-so group, the this, the that, and you're a solo agent. Man, I'll tell you this, if I'm running the teams, my listing presentation is designed around how can one agent do all these things? What? Oh, he's going to come and put up the sign himself? $5 an hour work? I mean, that agent is up against it and a serious uphill battle wearing ice skates, pushing an elephant. So I can definitely appreciate the team and the group and where that has come from. That being said, I know so many remarkable solo agents that absolutely swear by, they don't even have transaction coordinators, that they are completely hands-on. They work a boatload of hours. I will definitely say I don't know how that's going to bode in the long run for them, where the team concept seems to me to be everybody gets significant time off. You got somebody to cover, et cetera, et cetera. If you're sick, somebody else can show that buyer a property. My gosh, I think that works great. But that being said, like I said, the solo agent, it just depends on, do you want to be the captain of your own ship? And then again, do you have a map of the ocean? Because you can't just say, I want to be the captain of my own ship, and then you leave the port and you have no idea where you're going. Right. You know, that is a recipe for disaster and failure.
And that's what I want these guys. And when they do commit to our team and come on, is it's not a lifelong, you're not joining something that you have to stay for more than a year or two. We're going to bring you on. We're going to see if you work for us. We lay out a plan for you within 90 to 100 days, I believe it is. We've got one going through it right now. That's at the 66-day mark. We're gauging there. Do we move on from here? So we have a red light, green light system, right? And so if they're doing everything and they're doing the activities we've laid out in front of them, they should be having business at this point, correct?
Correct.
And so we're doing those kind of things, and that's where we're trying to show our value is bring them in, like you said, and more agent development. And then certainly I think if we get to the year or the 2 years and they want to try it on their own, we see a lot of people, they come in and they have a little bit of success, right? They're working the leads that team's providing, all of a sudden they're beating on their chest and they're saying, oh my gosh, I can do this by myself. And I've talked to somebody over at this new online brokerage that says I can work from home and do whatever. And, a lot of promises there, but then they leave and they don't have those lead generation systems in place. They don't have the things that we have as an established team. And not saying they can't have it, but now they're up against a wall. Now within
for 100%,
and I see so many people. What's that?
I'm sorry to interject. I was going to say, and they have to pay 100% of it. Like
right.
I know Marshall calls on Mojo Dialer, and you're one of the best dialing systems available. And you go, and that's great because the team shares in the cost of that.
Right.
When you have to go get Mojo Dialer yourself, when you have to go get your CRM yourself, when you have to go get this yourself, pay for your mailing program yourself, it's a whole different ballgame.
Right. And I get real frustrated at that when I see we're nobody special, but we have the same ebbs and flows a lot of people have. That's like, we lead generate for 30 days straight, then 60 days straight we start seeing contracts, and then we take our foot off the gas because we have all these deals into escrow, and then we close out and we're sitting on a little mountain of money, but there's no leads coming in because we stopped lead generating. And so as a team, I found out we were doing that also, was that we were getting with each other and we were just kind of like, high-fiving every day, and we would just blast our lead gen. And I set a goal in Q4 to make $100,000 in Q4. Well, we did that in October. And so November, December, we just kind of skated through the rest of the year. And in a sense, I felt like a failure as a leader, letting everybody skate. Was like, okay, well, we've got, we just got some massive paydays from this $100,000 we made in just October, and then we carried into November, and that's when all the closings started to happen. And so we've got this money, and then we kind of took off, and we're lackadaisical moving forward to November and December. Well, that pushed right into January. We had nothing. And then all of a sudden everything turned around, and all 18 of our listings went under contract. It would seem like in a week, and so
I liken it to a Ferris wheel. The highs and lows that you're talking about, and my gosh, new agents, the sad part is they have so few highs and it's mostly lows.
Right.
And you go, and that's because new agents, 2 years or less in the industry, absolutely do not lead generate with regularity. You can't go to the gym and get in good shape and lose weight and all this stuff and then stop going to the gym. Guess what's going to happen? The weight's going to come back. You're not going to be in as good a shape. If you liken it to a Ferris wheel, when you're lead generating, you're putting people on each car. Okay. And we know that that car, that the whole wheel takes a while to come around. Well, what happens is you load up those first 16 or 18 cars on a 40 car Ferris wheel, and then you stop lead generating. So all of a sudden, when your last of the 18 people that you loaded on gets off, you've got all the empty cars start coming up. And guess what the empty cars are? Weeks and months without a paycheck. And you go, and that's why people realize, that's when people start panicking and realizing, God, I got to get out of this.
I got to go get a job.
Exactly right. I have to go get a job.
But they're not willing to do the things that they don't want to do. I mean, I think that one of my biggest driving forces was meeting somebody like you, and you saw the hours I was putting in as a rookie agent.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, I won also Rookie of the Year. I didn't win it with the company, I won it with the county. And so
with the Board of Realtors.
Right, with the Board of Realtors, right. And so So, that was one thing that I fought for there at the end, and I was doing so much leasing because I just needed a paycheck, right? I always go back to that. My first year in real estate, I only made, I think, $4,800. Right, it was horrible, and so I was doing leasing, and I was afraid, right? I was afraid to put myself out there, and I was afraid to show that I did have grit, and was I doing it wrong? I had no guidance whatsoever, and that's where you came skating in, and kind of like I could now I was around somebody professional enough to hear the conversations you were having with people, and I could mimic those conversations now, and then I just started doing more leasing, and I knew that I was going to have, after the first year I did so many leases, I knew I was going to have the second best year ever, because everybody when I was giving them a lease was like, we're going to buy next year.
Oh yeah.
So, and actually someone came back and bought from me, and all of a sudden Steve actually was out of town, so he gave me a referral. Remember Ramesh. And so Ramesh was an investor and wanted to buy one place. We talked him into buying two, right? And so right there, that was the blood in the water when I got those contracts, and you were gracious enough to be like, man, you know what? I know I'm supposed to take a referral fee. I'm going to take a little bit, but the rest is yours. And I was blown away by that. I was like, man, this guy could have, I didn't know.
Hey, you did the work. You just said we, and I was thinking you.
Yeah.
Who's we? I was out of town.
And so,
I mean, you sold him an extra house, and I came back and was just floored. And whatever lights the fuse, I can remember several times along the way, the earthquake story that I told when I was here the other day. And you go, I can remember how excited I was that lit my fuse. It was like, holy crap, this stuff really works. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I think the more that you realize that, using the gym analogy again, I think when you step on the scale and go, oh my gosh, I'm really losing weight. When you look at yourself naked before you get in the shower, as you just happen to catch a glimpse of yourself passing the mirror, and you go, man, I look good. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I look good. It feeds itself. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's what I think the team concept helps a ton, and that it's hard as the solo agent to, you don't have that synergy. You don't have that extra motivation. And the ones that I know that are very successful, gosh, a lot of them have coaches, outside mentors, things of that nature, because I think that is a necessity to feed your real estate selling soul, to have that additional motivation
and accountability, right?
Absolutely, 100%. I've had friends that I've moved away from. I've had ex-girlfriends who are in the business say, "Man, I know it's going to sound funny. The thing that I miss the most is not just your friendship. It's not just our relationship. It is your motivation. Man, Steve, you wake up. I mean, I know we've never woken up together. I'll save the story about Alicia that way. But I wake up, and most of the coffee I drink is during the day. I was going to say, I wake up, and man, I wake up grateful to be alive and excited, chomping at the bit to get to what the day has for me and what I have for it.
Yeah.
I'm excited and motivated from the word go when my eyes pop open in the morning.
That's funny. I'm the same way, and I drive these guys bananas because I come in the office. I've been up since 4:30 or 5, and for an hour before I go to Orange Theory in the morning, I look at videos, I take in a podcast, I just start studying more and more about the business, how I can grow my coaching career, and I keep pushing. And then I go to the gym, and while I'm at the gym, the loud music is driving me up the wall, but I'm still able to think in that kind of like crazy atmosphere. And then I get out of there and I do it again. I get home, I grab the coffee, I grab, a couple cups of water, and I start just planning my day. Well, I come in the office fired up, right? These guys are all sleepy-eyed and just whatever. What do we expect today? Oh, God. They see on the calendar like, oh, shit, Dave went to Orange Theory this morning. He's about to walk in here and chew everybody's asses. And I'm not chewing their asses. I'm trying to motivate them. Like,
Absolutely
these are the things that we have to do. Like, let's get get to it. And then I try to, and it's like in Animal House, when you sit there, it's like, who's with me? Well, and you turn around and run out and everybody follows him, right? And that's what I'm thinking we're about to do. We're about to turn around and get on the phones and start hammering. And I turn around and all of a sudden it's just, you can hear crickets in the office. And I'm like, that didn't motivate him. So that further just pisses me off, And so I sit there and I'm like, all right, everybody back in the circle again. So we came up with this whole thing in the morning where we're doing the, we call it a rev up. I think we jacked the term from another successful real estate team here in Texas, a local group out of Houston. They have their huge group and they go around the room and they talk about their affirmation of the day, their gratitude for the day, what they're thankful for, and then their goal. And so we do that, and every day, someone forgets to look at their affirmations, so they Google affirmations real quick. That's okay with me. You can do that. But they'll go through their affirmations and say what they're grateful for. And I'm always surprised, and I genuinely want to hear what they're grateful for. That's one thing that I'm trying to expand on more these days. I think in a different way that I feel different, I guess I'd say, about the gratitude thing. I never really knew what that meant. I didn't know what coming from contribution meant. I didn't know what gratitude was. And I really don't pay attention to empathy. And you know me well. And you've said to me many times, like, Dave, you got to stop being such a dick sometimes. And it's not that I'm being a dick. I just think a certain way, and I don't think about other people's feelings, and I don't think about this stuff. And I've really had a wake up over the past month where I start every day with I'm fired up, and now I need to learn more about gratitude and empathy, and really expand off that. And what can I give back? I mean, I'm in no place to just kind of be an expert on this, but I'm learning, and I'm so happy that I've got people like you that do operate like this. And I used to think you were full of shit.
I know you did. I think all of the agents, especially at first, they were like, "How can you come in?"
And then people would come and ask me
again.
After I got to know you really well, people would come and ask me, "I was like, this dude for real?" And I'm like, "Man, he's for real. He is 100% legit. That's why I've invested so much into Steve and paying attention to him and trying to take everything that he does and do the same thing that he does, because it's worked for him. And so it hasn't quite conveyed for me, but I'll continue to work on it. But that's been a big one the past month, is the whole gratitude thing, the whole empathy thing, the real coming from contribution, and everything that we do is for our sellers now. It's like a couple years ago when I joined the brokerage we're at now, I stopped. And I think we stopped doing things. I'm pointing to Marshall, because Marshall's been my right-hand man for almost 4 years now. We stopped doing things for money. We used to be those guys that were like kind of commission breath, and we would, we'd walk around with our heads held high and knowing that we could just beat people in deals on the sheerness of we're just better scripted than you, and we can go in there and we can really convey that we know what we're doing, and people will list with us because of this. Okay, well, now that's coupled with we actually genuinely care about the sellers. We care about the buyers. We know that there's a relationship involved now. It's not just one and done.
Exactly right.
And so that's one of the biggest things that you tried to teach me for a long time, and I was just kind of caught up in the money. The money, the fast cars, the women. I'm just kidding.
But I heard that before.
But yeah, it was that, and I'm just kind of like, how do you have all these people's feelings, and how do you put all these people first? And I didn't understand that. And the minute I started slowing down and actually making real money, it wasn't fast money anymore, right? It wasn't. I wasn't making just 100,000. Now it's a couple 100,000. It's now my buyers agents are making big money also, and now we're growing this team. It's become a real thing, and now we have a real responsibility to be fiduciaries, not functionaries. How's that?
Absolutely,
I was a functionary for so long, and I've morphed into a fiduciary.
I love it. As a matter of fact, when you talk about coming from a place of gratitude, Tony Robbins has always said only two things drive success. Only two things drive it: inspiration or desperation. And I read a great thing about Lady Gaga, two great things, as a matter of fact. One, she was mercilessly bullied and teased, not in elementary school, not in middle school, started in high school, and college was at its peak. She was. There was a Facebook page that said, Stephanie Germanata will never, ever, ever be famous. That was the name of the Facebook page, because she would keep working at it, keep telling everybody, and everybody was like, are you crazy? You don't have the look, you don't have the this, you don't have the that. And you go, and that's Lady Gaga for people who don't know who Stephanie Germanotta is. And you go, showed them. But what I really, really liked was the breakup with the boyfriend that had told her, you will never, ever be anything. You are wasting your time. Why don't you get a job like everybody else? This is crazy. You don't contribute. Da, da, da. And she felt she did contribute. She gave what she could from her little gigs and little nightclub stuff. And then one day when the breakup came, told him, one day, you won't be able to go get an effing cup of coffee in any effing deli anywhere in America where you won't hear my music. And you go, man, that is belief at such a deep level. And you go, how did you keep going like that? There was nobody supporting you, telling you that you were going to be, that you were doing anything right. Nothing.
Yeah.
And you go that right back to the solo agent. You go that was the drive. And for me, it was my grandfather was a foreman of the Hoover Dam along with another guy named Frank Crow. My grandfather was Lynn Hillhouse, and so I knew what I may be in line for one day because he had amassed this great big estate and all this stuff. And you go, but that was the motivation for me. I wanted to make it without ever being handed anything. I wanted to make it on my own. I wanted to become a millionaire on my own and a Centurion agent with Century 21, not just 1 year, every year. And I loved going to my grandfather's house and saying, look at what I'm doing now, Grandpa. Well, what are you closing tomorrow? You know, that was always his thing was, I don't care what you've done. What are you doing now that ensures a successful future? And I think if more agents and teams and groups, et cetera, brokerages would ask themselves that question, man, I think that you'd see more success. You'd see a lower failure rate in the industry.
Yeah, that's funny because in our little rev up this morning, I kind of went on that tangent was we got to stop thinking about what we've done in the past and really start writing our next chapter every day that we come in here. You know, that sounds kind of woo-woo or a little bit soft,
I
but
love it.
Really it's really kind of like, let's not look at our failures that we did this and let's start moving down a new road. Let's try something new. Let's really push ourselves, you know, and then we turn around and the difference is these days and when we're saying this stuff is now we're turning around to where you know, people are hopping into Mojo and making their dials and talking and having conversations, planning their open houses during the week. I mean, it's a buy-in system, and you have to convince everybody or show everybody that all your work is going to pay off. It was like your analogy towards the scale, the weight loss, right?
Absolutely.
And so
right.
These guys come in every day, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden I have a client. All of a sudden I have more showings. All of a sudden I'm writing contracts. All of a sudden I have things in escrow. All of a sudden I have a closing. All of a sudden I have, a lifelong client.
It's
nowhere in there did I say, did you make money?
That's right.
But it's really, a lead to lead follow-up to an appointment to a contract to an escrow to a closing, all the way up, boom, you drop them into your database bucket. Now that's a referral partner for your lifetime if you've done your job correctly.
Exactly right. And how people, I love hearing the question, if only I had more confidence. How do you gain more confidence?
Right.
And you go, man, you can start by watching the YouTube video of the 5-star admiral saying, start by making your bed in the morning.
Make your bed, yeah.
You take out the garbage. Do little things, these little tiny building blocks of, I did it, I completed that, I started it, and I finished it. What do I say to you guys when we go out door knocking? Do you guys remember what I say right when we get out of the car? Because I say it to every single agent I ever take with me, so I know I said it to you guys also.
Shut up, don't talk.
I'm in charge here. No, it is, congratulations, we're 75% done.
Yep.
And so same thing when you go to the gym. You walk through that gym door, congratulations, you're 75% of the way done. You haven't taken a step, lifted a weight. You just by showing up and ready to go, you are 75% of the way done. Forget that once begun, half done. You're 75% of the way done.
My friend Lisa J learned that from you, and she talks about that all the time. She wants to go to the gym, doesn't go to the gym, but she knows the minute she steps out, I was like, did you go to the gym today? She goes, no, but I got halfway there. I go, what do you mean? She's like, well, I got out my door and I got to my car. Then I decided not to go. Tomorrow, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to actually go. So I made it halfway to the gym today and just halfway was leaving her place. I was like, that makes no sense. But let her just work it out in her own head. And the next day, hey, did you go to the gym? Yes, I did. And then next week, did you go to the gym? Been 7 days in a row.
It isn't everything. Everybody has their own thing that they have to work out when it comes to build what I call small building blocks. And you go, somebody else's small building blocks, Marshall's won't be yours.
Right. I have to learn that. That's huge on my end.
And constantly being willing to tweak the system. I was explaining to these guys when you had stepped out earlier that you look at my brother and you go, my gosh, one of the top producing real estate agents in the United States, always looking to improve on his system. My brother was the one that got me started door knocking. It was all I did my whole career. I mean, it made for a fine life. And it was what he did. And then one day my brother calls me out of the blue and says, I'm not going to door knock anymore. And I was like, great, you're retiring. Let's go on the speaking tour and la, la, la. And he said, no, I'm not retiring. I'm going to mail. And I said, what do you mean you're going to mail? You're going to stop door knocking and mail? Mail's a supplementary thing. It's not really even a form of prospecting. So he tells me that he's got a 10,000 person database. He's going to mail this 60-cent mailer, which looked real nice. It was a bifold on all 4 pages, trifolded for the mailing process. Everyday direct mail, 60 cents, the mailer and the cost of mailing. So times 10,000 people, $6,000 a month. Month number 1, no return. Month number 2, no return, 12,000 into it. Month number 3, month number 4, no return, 24,000 into it. So I'm in his ear telling him, better go back to door knocking. You're going to lose market share. And he said, I have allotted for 6 months of this, and I'm going to see it through. Month number 5, closes 2 transactions, $50,000 in total commissions, goes from 30,000 in, 6,000 times 5 months, to 20,000 up. So it was 30,000 upside down, now 20,000 up. And did he go buy a new car? No. Go on a round the world vacation? No. Put that money, the $20,000, in the appropriately titled mailing account and continued to mail. And then a real funny thing happened in month number 6 when he got 4 deals. And you go $100,000 in 1 month, but the mailing cost stayed the same. How about 6 deals in the next month? How about 10 deals? And you go, holy cow, you're making a couple $100,000 in a month and your mailing cost is staying fixed. Pretty smart guy, and definitely willing to still go out on a ledge 40 plus years into a real estate career and keep tweaking the system and finding the better way to build a better mousetrap to get more buyers and sellers. It's incredible, and it works for everyone. For those listening that are afraid, as you pointed out, to cold call, because they don't like being cold called, afraid to go door knock because they don't like it when people knock on their door. Gosh, what's your excuse at open house? Yeah. I mean, man, when do you stop making excuses and start making money? Right. And so all of it comes from decision, right? Which we all know comes from the Latin incision, which means to cut off from. And when you decide something, you have cut off from any other possibility. And when you take that attitude into a profession like real estate, I'll tell you this, you're going to make it big. I could take 11 reasonably motivated high school kids, not the best athletes in the high school, but average kids with an above average desire to succeed, and build you a championship football team. I absolutely believe that. And I believe I could take 11 new agents and stack them up against any company's $2 and $3 million annual producing agent, which we all know is barely scraping by in real estate when you subtract all the fees and costs and et cetera. And I could take those brand new agents and meet with them once or twice a week and have them whipping those $2 and $3 million agents, whipping them. And so all it takes is that above average desire to succeed. Look at me. Listeners, I know you can't see me. Man, I'm about a 7. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about a 7. I got a cute personality. I'm sure that probably comes through in the talking. But I was going to say, I am not the smartest guy, even in this room. But I have drive, ambition, a desire to succeed, a competitive streak a mile wide. And so if you have any of those things, man, come and talk to guys like Dave and teams and motivated individuals. And no matter what endeavor you are, whether it's real estate or not, maybe real estate won't be your cup of tea, but you can take what you learn from this and you can succeed in other endeavors in your life, whether it is getting in shape, education, I want to read more, etc. You can take that forward in every endeavor in your life. You just got to believe in that, right?
Yeah, you just have to do it.
Right.
Just do it. That's exactly right.
So you just have to do it. So we need to start wrapping this up here. We got a few minutes left, but some really great, valuable stuff right there. Let's do one last question. What are the biggest myths of the real estate business that are preached or served up to real estate agents these days?
The biggest one to me is you're going to get into it and make money right away. You are not going to get into it and make money right away. You are going to get into real estate and you are going to put in a ton of hours, and you have to bring your significant other or spouse or whoever with you on that journey, because they need to understand they can't be asking you every day when you get home, what'd you sell today?
Yeah.
Nothing. What'd you sell today? Nothing. What? You left the house at 9 o'clock and you're home at 9 o'clock. You didn't sell anything? They need to come along with you on the journey. You are not going to make money right away. You're going to have to come in. You're going to have to put in your time. I think that's one of the biggest misnomers. The other is I'm not going to have to invest in my business or education. My real estate license is enough. No, it is not. No. You need to always be learning. I just told the story of a 40-year real estate broker who happens to be my brother, but regardless, He always is learning. He still goes to seminars. Most of the top agents I know in your guys' network, that's Gene Arant. How many times has Gene been to Bold? My gosh, he could be a Bold coach. He's been to Bold like 14 times.
Yeah.
Now, why would the top producer in the Keller Williams network in the greater Austin area, why would he keep going to the same program over and over and over again? I don't know. Why do we go to the gym over and over and over again? Isn't it the same gym? Isn't it relatively the same
practice,
workout?
the fundamentals.
Exactly
I
right.
mean, we go after these guys. We brought up something yesterday in a little mastermind we were in, but Tiger Woods has a coach.
Mm-hmm.
What does Tiger Woods do when he's done shooting 18 holes of golf? He goes to the driving range, right? What does Brady do after he wins a Super Bowl? After he plays a game, he sits there and he practices. What was the one that we were talking about the other day about Kobe Bryant? How somebody had asked him about the fundamentals, like he was just working on the fundamentals, the dribbling, the shooting free throws, the just layups right under the thing, and people were asking like, I thought this.
Why do you only do the basics? You're one of the top basketball players in the history of basketball.
Oh, I forgot you're not on the mic.
Yeah, I was trying to
And it's because of that. That he's one of the top players in basketball, right? We all know that Michael Jordan has been entrusted hundreds of times to take the game-winning shot and has only made half of them.
Right.
And you go, failed half the time. But did he quit? Did he stop playing basketball?
No,
absolutely not.
That drives one more quote why it's in my head. I could have said it earlier, but it's Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. Exactly
and so
right.
These guys sometimes they'll come to me like, man, out of nowhere, I call this person and I got an appointment. It's just kind of, I was about to write them off. I was about to just pass by them because they've been in our database so long. There was no information on them. I decided to call them. And it's like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Whether you're standing in line at a restaurant, you strike up a conversation with somebody. I can't tell you how many times I wore my name tag the year I won the rookie year. Like I was still that realtor guy. It's like wearing the name tag and doing the things. I went and I bought a Fitbit or something like that. Somebody off Craigslist, and I met the guy at his house, and it was a dark street, and it was kind of weird meeting the guy, and I pull up.
Shady.
Yeah, it's a little shady street, and I get out and I'm talking to him and he's showing me, he's like, it works. Like, this is how you turn it on. And he's showing me how to use it. I'm like, hey, cool. And he's like, you can pair it with your phone and really count on your steps. And this is why I liked it. And I'm like, well, why are you selling it? He's like, I don't know. We have 2 of them. And so my wife's not wearing hers. So, I'll just sell it. And I'm like, okay. Man, your wife has big wrists. And so, but he saw my name tag and he goes, what's your name tag say? And I was like, oh, it's real estate. I took it off. It was a magnet, so I took it off and put it in my pocket. He goes, oh no. He's like, I'm looking for a realtor. I'm like, oh really? I was like, that's cool. And like, not even thinking about it still, that he's wants to talk to me about real estate. And I was like, well, what are you looking for? And he goes, well, I'm in the Army. And I have a VA loan, I'm ready to go and all that stuff. And I just need to find a place. Like, what do you know? He's like, we've looked at everything in our price range. And I was like, I mentioned a certain area that I knew also at the time was paying a 6% commission. I just threw it out there. And I was like, have you ever thought about this? And I was like, it puts you right on the toll road. Boom, you're right off to clean out to the Army base. And he's like, no, but I'll go check it out with you this Saturday. We went over there, signed the contract, $200,000, 6% commission, $12,000, like boom.
Unbelievable.
And so it was just a by chance type of thing. And then, I didn't pick up on it at first. What he was asking, what questions he was asking, I was like, oh wait, he wants to actually use me as a realtor. realtor.
Right.
Awesome.
Well,
And we're still friends to this day. Like I just went and priced their house that I sold them, and I'll be listing it this summer. And
Nice.
so, yeah.
I will leave you with this thought. I've shared this with so many agents, and that is, I love your bed of river rock out in front here, out in front of the Keller Williams Northwest office. So if I were to tell you, because in the vein of never knowing where your next transaction is going to come from, you've got to be open to all. Don't wear blinders. You've got to be open to the universe. And so if I said to you, out underneath each one of these river rocks out here, in that mile-long thing of river rock you've got, underneath each rock is a $10 bill. I would come here tomorrow and you guys would still be out there turning over those river rocks, taking the $10 bills, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Every one of you would be. And you go, that's right. So what if you applied that to real estate? Only every door you knock, every call you make, that you're not going to get $10 is the bad news. But the great news is there's going to be $10,000 behind one of those doors. One of those calls is going to say the VA spiel, and you're going to take them out and get $12,000, not a $10 bill.
Right.
And you go, if you apply that same theory to real estate prospecting, you are going to be mega wealthy. Not just wealthy, mega wealthy. The most annoying door knocker I ever met, his name was Froy Candelario.
I love this story.
You can Google search him. And I know I've shared this one with you.
Right.
You guys will love it. So my spiel, I meet Froy at a real estate conference in Southern California, and Froy tells me, so I hear you're a big door. Your brother tells me you're a big door knocker. And I said, yeah. And he's this little short Filipino guy. I almost stepped on him. I mean, he's so tiny, like a little Filipino elf. I could say that, right? I could say Filipino elf. And so so we start talking, and he's like, well, let me hear your spiel. And I get into my, hi, it's Steve Fohl. And he's like, oh, stop. That's way too long. And I was like, well, let me hear your spiel. And he gets into, well, I just walk up to the door and, hi, it's Froy Candelario, real estate, Froy. Oh, hey, it's Froy Candelario, the realtor here in the neighborhood. I was just dropping off, sold another property here. You guys thinking about selling this year? Nope. Okay, if you ever sell, Froy Candelario. He knocked 6 times as many doors as me in the same period of time. And if you look Froy up on Google, you'll see that I think the story that is most prominent will come up first is $22 million closed. Not in volume. He made $22 million, and he gets up at 4 a.m., and he is knocking on his first door at 7 a.m., knocking on doors at 7 a.m.
Wow.
And he knocks all day long, takes a break, gets back out in the afternoon, takes a break, goes out in the evening, and knocks doors. And it's that same annoying pitch. But here's the thing. Here, the moral of that story is pick something. Mm-hmm. Pick something and stick with it. I'm telling you, it will pay off huge. Learn about the 7 forms of prospecting. Pick the ones that are most comfortable for you. Become an expert in those, and you will make riches and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. And just like you, Dave, you will discover it isn't about the money. It's about the caring about people. It's about when you talk about empathy, moving is one of the top 3 most stressful things in life, which are death of a spouse or loved one, loss of a job, moving. Mm-hmm. It's the top 3 most stressful things. So when you stop thinking about the big commission dollars and you start thinking about taking care of these people that are going through a very stressful time, it transcends your business and the way you conduct it.
Very nice.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap it up right there.
I love it.
We'll leave it on that note. So once again, thanks for joining us on Real Estate on the Rocks. Today in the studio was Steve Fohl. Steve, thank you so much for coming out. We hope that you join us again here soon.
Thanks for having me, man. It was a pleasure to be here.
Sorry we didn't get to hear from Marshall Tucker much here today.
I'm just starstruck over here.
And then, we've got Alicia over here swooning as well. But, she's actually put sunglasses on now, so we can't see her eyes staring at Steve. Steve's wearing a low-cut shirt today.
That's a push-up.
Right,
That's a push-up thing.
We'd like to thank our sponsor once again, Mike Harrell over at Guild Mortgage. And then you can also find us and reach any of us, including Mike Harrell, at info@realestateontherocks.com. We hope to see you next time. And remember, if you're going to drop us a review, it is only the 5-star reviews that we want. All the other ones, you can lend to one of those other real estate podcasts. So we appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Take care.
I'm out.
Bye, y'all.